Hello and welcome to the program. I am DEJI. Now, for many of us, the year 2023 may still seem quite far away, but certainly not for politicians who have already begun low-key jostling for who will take over the reins of power in that year. There are serious ongoing agitations for the zoning of the presidential position to the southeast of the country and other regions who complain of marginalization since the restoration of democracy in Nigeria in 1999. Amidst all of this, senior pastor of the Latter Rain Assembly, Tunde Bakare, has advised President Muhammadu Buhari to pick his successor for the 2023 presidential election, who will uphold his legacies. Bakare, a former running mate of President Buhari in the 2011 presidential election, cited countries like China, Singapore, and South Africa, which he says have put in place such succession plans. Bakare himself has not hidden his intention to want to succeed the president. But President Buhari, through his spokesperson Femi Adesina, says while the president would be interested in who would succeed him, he will definitely not pick a successor. Nigeria has an unwritten rotational system, where the presidency of the country essentially rotates between the north and south. So for many Nigerians, the understanding is that the presidency should shift to the south in 2023. And one region in the south that has not had a shot at the presidency under Nigeria's current democracy is the southeast. And so there's a serious push from that region that the 2023 presidency should go there. The two major political parties in the country, the ruling APC and the main opposition PDP, have so far remained silent on the issue. And the fact is that they have a very crucial role to play in determining where the presidency goes to in 2023. Truth is that the 2023 presidency is quite crucial for Nigeria, and how the politicians handle the issue could have huge implications for the country. In any way you look at it, Nigeria faces a very testing period ahead. But let's discuss this more. Libros Oshoma, lawyer and political analyst, now joins me on the program. Libros, thank you very much for coming on the program.
A pleasure.
As always.
Yeah.
Do you think it's too early to begin to talk about 2023? Because it's just out there.
Yeah, for me, it's not too early because the end of one election cycle begins another election cycle. I've always been an advocate of the fact that politicians should not wait till 6 months to the election before they start talking to the people. If you want to vie for office 8 years from now, now is the time for you to begin to, walk your talk and not just wake up all 6 months to election and say, my people said I should come and be, So, but while it is so that people do not mistake me for saying governance should not continue, why the government should focus, strictly on providing, governance as spelled out in their manifestos and campaign
especially
promises.
For a government that is not seeking a second term,
yes,
another term. So
yeah, exactly. And so there's also need for the politicians to begin to prepare, and those in opposition to showcase what they can do better, and those in government to begin to fish for somebody who can actually, if they feel they have done so well, who can replicate or take the mantle of leadership from where they would drop it.
Now, just before we discuss the issue of this rotation and the controversy that is beginning to spread on, because it's always going to be a very controversial issue, let's take the issue of what Pastor Tunde Bakare said. What's your take on that? That the president should pick his successor. He says we have the same thing in China, Singapore.
Unfortunately, the system of democracy that we have inherited, it's not the type that gives the president the leverage to pick and choose whoever he wants to succeed him. It's that is left for the party. But the president can lobby. One thing that is missing in our present-day political climate is mentorship. You really cannot say that President Buhari is replicating himself in any of the political leaders across his party. The same way you couldn't say that of Obasanjo or even Yar'Adua or President Goodluck Jonathan. And if you believe that this is a man of integrity and the man who you believe, it's out to fight corruption, I expect that just like you had the Awoists, the leadership of Awolowo, Zik, and Ahmadu Bello, they had leaders young ones who they were mentoring, who you could say that could fit, perfectly, even better.
Unfortunately,
not in this case. And so when you now say the president should pick, how do you pick such a successor when you are not even mentoring them?
I mean, I seem to get the impression that Pastor Tunde Bakari actually meant the president should even pick who will succeed him. Succeed him, not even succeed him as a candidate, but to succeed him as president. And then you begin to ask, where does that leave the people of this country?
That's what I'm saying.
Because the kind of democracy we run here is certainly different from what China
what is obtainable in China.
And exactly. So different from what is practiced in South Africa, for instance, where the party actually...
Even in different from what is practiced in England, where the party leadership, the moment a government becomes unpopular, it is very common for, even onlookers, or political watchers, journalists, to say that this is the next leader of the party or the next prime minister, as the case may be.
And certainly that automatically he becomes the leader of the country.
Exactly. But here, not in this case. In this case, it is the call is for the people. The party will present, their candidate. And also, why I also believe it is not too early to begin to prepare. Because also let the people know, so that people can begin to also assess, your leadership quality. This idea of 3 months to election, somebody's hands is raised. Oh yes, this is the next candidate of the party, and everybody start to rally around him. Then people begin to find out who is he, what is his antecedent, where was he before, what was he doing. I think we should take politics seriously, and then seriously in the fact that let us begin to see, the works of those that will succeed, this present crop 4 years from now. Let us assess them. Let them also begin to interact and prepare. Even if they don't know anything about it, let them begin to learn. Because what you have learned in 4 years, it's not something that we wrote, or you will forget in 6 months or 4 months. But the idea of people not preparing for leadership, and then because a godfather somewhere want them to come and be, like Tunde Bakari is suggesting. If the president, and we know, we can't also rule out, these are my opinion though, we also cannot rule out the fact that President Buhari does not have, friends across board. His friends and his associates are from a particular region. And so if you're asking him to also pick, he's going to pick those that he's close to and those that he knows that are from that same region. And so where does that leave us? And then also you have the fact that, a certain part of this country also have been agitated.
We're going to talk about that because that's what we're going to talk about next. Let's just take a quick break now. And when we come back, let's find out what should the presidency actually be going to the southeast of the country in 2023. The agitation is on. Stay with us and we'll be right back. On DEJI 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent.
Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that
DEJI 360, providing clarity to issues.
Any lover of this country will not talk about the succession plan yet. That's the truth. Concentrate on working for the country, help the country, help the president to help the country. Anybody talking about that now, just complete restlessness, and they are not focused on the agenda of the nation building and development.
All right, welcome back. And if you've just joined us, you're watching DEJI 360 with me, DEJI Badimasi. And of course, I have Liberos Oshoma, a lawyer and political analyst, with me here in the studio. Liberos, should the presidency go to the Southeast in 2023?
I believe if we want to be fair and equitable, both major political parties should feed candidates from the Southeast. Not necessarily because democracy, it's not about the people, but the fact that it also would give them a sense of belonging. Even if we're talking about restructuring, but it will also be fair to allow them have a shot, because we're talking about the three major ethnic groups in Nigeria. You have the Hausa, even though we group them together, the Hausa Fulanis, then you have the Yorubas, and then you have the Igbos. And then you had Obasanjo, and after Obasanjo went to the north, but unfortunately we lost the president then, Yaradua, and then a minority, even though the Igbos tried to claim him as one of theirs, but we all know that he was from the South, and then back to the north. I remember the crisis, that came up after the death of Yaradua, zoning or no zoning in PDP, and some people felt, look, it was PDP's arrangement, and then, there were argument back and forth. And some of us were of the opinion then that, look, if there was indeed an arrangement by the party should obey that arrangement, but allow the people, to decide at the poll. And so, so in the same spirit of fairness and equitability, I think it is also fair that the presidency should go to the Southeast. Why? Because it gives a sense of belonging. Obama's presidency did not extend any good to the black man. Exactly. But the blacks were happy. Africans were happy. The blacks in America were happy because that it is possible, that it gave them a sense of belonging. And so this idea of, if you want the presidency, you have to belong. Belong to what? They are a major group in Nigeria, and whether we like it or not, for us to truly also heal the wound of the civil war, there's need for also, allow them have a shot at it. And then secondly, you have people from these places that have also, they've been on the flank and also have been so vociferously criticizing this government. Let also give them opportunity and see how fair, how well they will do. So if you put all of these cards on the table, I think it is fair, equitable, and better for both major political parties to say, look,
the question
now let the card swing this way.
Absolutely. It's a sentiment I share as well. I mean, I believe that for equity, justice, and fairness, the presidency should go to the Southeast. No matter how you look at it, look, somebody from the Southeast should be the president of this country in 2023. It just would not change Nigeria.
No, not at all.
It won't turn Nigeria into a paradise.
No.
But the fact is,
it won't even turn the Southeast into a paradise, because Obasanjo's good did not do anything for the average Yoruba man. Jonathan's presidency did not do any good for the average Bayelsa man or Toke man. The same thing. I still went to Katsina, even Daura recently. You still have beggars on the street. Even the palace, you had a lot of Almajiris. Buhari's presidency did not do any good for, but it gave them a sense of belonging. Just the same way the Northerners were agitating. No, it's our turn. We had a pact that after Obasanjo it should come to us. I also think that now that it has gone to them, let them not. I've also heard about this, the South taking
part of
a larger
that Jonathan
chunk,
took part of their
and all of that.
So that's absolutely wrong.
Let's leave all of this sentiment, and if we decide that we want to continue to live as one and we want to be fair to all parties concerned.
But the question, Liberals, do you think you look at what is going on across the political parties today, whether we like it or not, we know that some politicians are beginning to jostle for the presidency. I mean, without mentioning names, and you know that these politicians who are jostling are not from the Southeast. That's the truth. Now, do you think these politicians of this country who are so ambitious would be willing to bury their personal ambition and look at the overall interest of the country?
One very, very negative trend of the average Nigerian politician is selfishness. And that's why in politics in Nigeria, gossip thrives. And I doubt if a lot of them will bury their personal ambition. I would call names. Somebody like Atiku Abubakar, for example. If it, and he's a Muslim, he should also remember that if he's not ordained to be the president of Nigeria, no matter how many times he gives it a shot, he will never be president. And so, that's why, for me, at the level he is now, he's a leader. He should position himself to be a leader, to give direction, and bury his presidential ambition. If we are criticizing Buhari for being too old and too sluggish, by 2023, Atiku would have been older than Buhari is now. And so, are we still talking about, you condemn one and then you replace him with another? And so that's why I think people like him, people like Tinubu and others from the Southwest, who are also positioning themselves, should, for the sake of if they truly love Nigeria more than they claim that they do, they should, for their sake. You can't tell me that, a lot of the people from the Southeast are in PDP. But you still have people from the Southeast who are in APC. And then also, we know the way politics is played in Nigeria. Once you give them the shot, even those in PDP will begin to decamp. Even most of the politicians who are in APC today, some are ministers, they were all in PDP too. But when the bread became butter, they realigned. And so in the same vein, if the Southeast, another thing also I must also say is you also find this very selfish, and primitive politics from the Southeast. I remember in 2003 when Ekweme was to contest for the primaries with Obasanjo, rather than the politicians from the Southeast rallying around Ekweme, you had more than many candidates coming from that region alone. You had Alice Ekweme, you had Iwanyanwu, and you had Ekweme, you had Owombudu, you had Iwanyanwu. More than 10 candidates from this place. I think this is this time for them also to sit down, look for, not too young and not too old, young politician, vibrant, that is acceptable.
And there are quite a number of them there.
Yeah, quite a number are amongst them. And then I also ask the question, what is Ohaneze Ndigbo doing? This idea of, we don't want this, we don't want that, we want restructuring. What are your panaceas? What are your blueprints for achieving some of these things? So this is the time for them to begin to project some, candidates that people can actually interact with their past and their present. If we want to move away from this, ping-pong kind of politics that will be playing in Nigeria.
We're going to take another break now, and when we come back, let's look at how difficult it will be, for instance, the political parties the two major political parties now to zone the presidency to the Southeast. Stay with us, don't go away. On DEJI 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent.
Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that ballot.
DEJI 360, providing clarity to issues. All right, welcome back. And if you've just joined us, you're watching DEJI 360, and we're talking about the 2023 presidency. I have Libros Oshoma, political analyst and lawyer, with me here in the program. Libros, you look at the two major political parties, because whether we like it or not, let's be realistic. The next president of this country will come from either the PDP or the APC. It's just the way, that's just the way it is, unless a miracle happens. I can't fathom that kind of political miracle. Now, you look at the leadership of the two political parties. The other day, we saw a member or the chairman of the board of trustees of the PDP coming out to say that accuse Atiku's people of attacking him because of his refusal now to support Atiku's ambition to run for the presidency in 2023 and all of that. And then you look at the APC now, you look at the leadership. But do you think the leadership of both parties, from where you stand and what you can see, do you think the leadership could be amenable to the idea?
Yes, they can. Politics is a game of give and take. Even though you say it's a game of numbers, it's a game of give and take and proper position. It's like football. You position very well. And so, what you see play out presently is all about selfishness. Oh, we own the party. We are the one financing the party now, so we should decide who, even if we are deciding, it should be me. And so you have a situation where a politician owns a political party, he's the chairman of the party, he's the presidential candidate, he's the all and all. But leadership has grown beyond that. And so what I think they can do is to sit down and say, yes, we've tried our best. Look at, in 2011 or so, the presidential election. Look at all the American presidential election. Once you've had a shot at it, the next election, you don't hear that same candidate comes again, they don't reinforce failure. But here, yes, you can say President Buhari had a shot at it, at 3 attempts. But at the point, he went on his own until, politicians came together to say, you know what, yes, you are the best candidate that we can use, to drag power from the behemoth that PDP was at that time. And that is why, for me also, I think this is the time for the Southeast also to begin to position and project, transparent leaders that, they know will be acceptable to all across board. And then what the political parties can also do, the leaders of the political party, I did advise PDP, after the 2015 election, that the only way they can come back stronger is for the leaders of the party to apologize for the sins of the party and then raise up new leaders. Create new leaders who would be able to do things differently. That option is still very available to them to date. And for the APC also, you can't say that President Buhari is the best that we should hope for. In fact, I would say that, just like Goodluck Jonathan in 2011, the goodwill that he came to office with, he frittered them away. He was even lucky to have won a second time.
And what have you got to say?
To that, this is the time for them to begin to find alternative, look outside of themselves, and create new leaders that in 4 years from now will be acceptable to all and sundry from this region, irrespective. So when you do that, it becomes easy. Look at what Labour parties, 2 major political parties in the UK, what they do. They raise leaders. Recently also, they had about 200 volunteers from across, the country. And these are people who they begin to groom as leaders. So 8 years from now, you see them in a Congress and
another thing I just
in
have
Parliament.
To you. Something I have to quickly ask you that I actually want you to react on is, we hear this thing. People come out to say, look, we are the Southwest. We have the political advantage that, the Southwest and the North can decide to run this thing alone without the Southeast. You understand that they've got the numbers and all of that. That you actually, the way the politics is played, you look at, you do your calculations very well. You don't even need to get votes from the Southeast. The issue is that it shouldn't be about political advantage. It should be about the interest of the country and whether you're willing to. Yes.
For me, really, even if you think that, yes, you can do your political calculation, as we speak, even in the last election, did the entire votes from the Southwest go to a particular political party?
Of course not.
The answer is no. Even in the North, the entire vote from the North did not go to a political party. Even in 2015, the president's votes from the Southeast, unlike what happened in 2015, he got more votes in Southeast than he got in 2015. And so, to that extent, you sit down and begin to permutate and calculate that, yes, you can go the whole hog. Nigeria and Nigerians have grown beyond that. And with the crisis where we are now, the hatred because one major thing that had consistently, one major carcaworm that consistently eaten deep into the fabrics of our political, firmament since 2015 is this divide and hatred.
Yes. And
it's either we decide to heal it, or we further divide it. And where that will take us to beyond 2023, nobody can predict. Whether we even get there, if we will not begin to assuage, fears and calm free nerves now also. Because some of those things that we used to overlook pre 1999.
They're
and now
happening
all
now.
of a sudden, I remember us going to school. You really didn't know who was a Christian or a Muslim. We learned IROK and BK in the same class. But today, it is becoming a problem. And also, it wasn't also in 1999, if you remember, after the death of Abiola, why was the presidency
given to the Southwest?
A zone to the Southwest. Because there was need to assuage those frayed nerves. There was need to heal wounds. And so, let's have, one of theirs. In the same vein.
And that's how we ended up with Obasanjo and Falai.
Yes.
As
in the same vein, we also are not looking at the wounds of the civil war.
We're not.
And thanks to President Buhari's style of governance also, that only sees good from one section of the country, those also had heightened those fears.
Yes.
And so it's either we douse them now or we decide to allow them go. And if the North and the Southwest decide, oh yes, we can go the whole hog, what they are telling the other region is, look, we can do without you. Yeah. And if you tell them that you can do without them, and they now say, okay, allow us go, then it becomes a problem. So the only way you can also silence some of these agitators, we also saw it happen in the Niger Delta. When you had agitators, these are oil and all of, the moment the presidency was dangled before them, we saw all of those agitation calm down, even though they misused that opportunity also. Give it, even if we believe the Southeast will misuse the opportunity, but give it to them, let them misuse it. If that will be if they will be the one that will now eventually, give us fiscal federalism, so be it.
And the fact is, there's no guarantee that any section of the country will not misuse it.
Exactly. Let everybody have a turn. Because for me, we are not even talking about those of us who are minority. Inside minority. But let the major tribes, have a go at it. And then we can now say, yes, equitably, you have all had your fair share. But how do we go forward from here? But because the only way we can move forward is, first and foremost, we need to heal, the land. We need to heal the wounds. And the only way we can heal them, forget the fact that, yes, Truth and Reconciliation Committee. No, it's not about one of the issues in the Truth and Reconciliation Committee should be, look, even though the presidency does not do anything for any region, but why is the Southwest agitating for it now? Why is the North still insisting that they will hold on to it? Okay, why can't it go to the Southeast?
Exactly.
So let it be that way, and then you can now say, at the end of the day, well, you had it, but you didn't use it well. You didn't use it to develop your region. So now, let's find another use for it.
Liberal Shoma, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you very much for your wonderful contributions.
Always my pleasure.
Always. Well, that's it on the program, but if you want to watch it again, it's very simple. Go to our website, TV360Nigeria.com. You'll find this program and lots more there. You can also follow the conversation on our various social media platforms. Thank you very much for watching. I'm DEJI. I'll see you next week.